We are Save the Scenic Santa Ritas. We formed as a citizens group in 1996. We're primarily volunteer, although we do have two staff now. This is me on the left, Executive Director, and our Director of Outreach, Anna Darian, on the right. And we are dedicated to saving the beautiful Santa Rita Mountains. This is looking toward the west across the Rosemont Valley. What we're trying to do is stop a giant copper mine. It would be the fourth biggest in the US by a Canadian company, Hudbay. The project is called Copper World by Hudbay. They presumably think it sounds like a theme park, so we'll be less opposed to it. The 1872 mining law unfortunately gives foreign and US companies the right to take our public lands for mining without paying a penny in royalties. Unlike coal mining, unlike gas and oil development, companies doing that have to pay royalties to the federal government. These companies don't have to because they're doing hard rock mining. To give you an idea where it is, this is Copper World here. These pink areas are where they're going to dump their tailings. There's some pits sort of hiding underneath the Copper World, and the biggest, richest pit of copper is this right here, this red and orange. And you can see where Tucson, of course, is to the north. Here's Salvo-Rita on the left, Quail Creek, Green Valley, and Corona de Tucson. So if we follow the money, the copper itself is going to go overseas for at least the first 4 years, most likely to China, because the lion's share of refining in the world is done in China. The profits will go to a Canadian company, Hudbay, and we'll get a few jobs in the interim while the mine is open, and we'll be left with a huge environmental disaster, and forever we'll miss out on the potential sustainable income from outdoor recreation and tourism. So one big difference that's really going to hit hard for anybody in the Salvo-Rita area, this is including Green Valley, Quail Creek, is that unlike most big mines, Hudbay is going to use trucks because there's no rail line available. The Sarrieta and Mission mines use rail, but the Copper World will use only heavy trucks. How many trucks? We calculate 40,000 truck trips per year running 24/7. That's one truck every 15 minutes right through the center of Salvo-Rita on Salvo-Rita Road, connecting up to I-19, where they'll be trucking, probably connecting up to rail either up in Tucson or down in Mexico for ultimate shipment overseas. And of course, what's going to be coming through is not only the copper ore, unrefined copper ore going out, but sulfuric acid and explosives coming in, and a huge amount of commuter traffic. So this blue line is a truck route where they're going to start down here in the copper world, and the it's actually called copper concentrate. The semi-refined copper will be trucked this way and through Salvo-Rita, and this is a close-up view showing that they're going to be going right in between the schools here and the libraries and the municipal buildings, and there's another school down here. So those of you who are familiar with current congestion in this area, from parents and grandparents taking their kids to school and picking them up, people going to the court buildings, etc., it's already can be a problem. And of course, now imagine that there's a heavy tractor trailer going through there every 15 minutes. In addition, there's going to be lots and lots of commuter traffic by workers going to the mine. We're talking traffic jams, we're talking accidents, 40,000 trucks a year. That's a huge increase in mine commuter traffic, as much as during the construction phase, 1,000 a day. Possible backups onto I-19, and this final bullet down here. In 2011, what was then the Rosemont Mine project, which is now morphed into Copper World, had to do a draft EIS, Environmental Impact Statement, and that at that time they were proposing to send the copper east onto 83. And so that EIS predicted that there would be a tripling in traffic accidents and deaths because of the mine traffic. And of course, now we're going to go to the west. They're going to go to the west and right through the center of Sahuarita. So there's no traffic plan, there's no EIS, so we don't really know what's going to happen, but it would not be surprising if there were even more traffic accidents and deaths than predicted by the 2011 draft EIS. So this is not hypothetical or theoretical. Accidents do happen. This is a photo of an overturned truck that was hauling copper concentrate near Hudbay's Constancia mine in Peru. This is a mine tanker associated with the mines up in the Morenci area that spilled sulfuric acid near Pima in October of 2020. And this, you might have read about this, it's a nitric acid spill near Kolb Road on I-10 in October 2023 that shut down traffic in both directions. So this is not theoretical. Accidents happen quite frequently. So one of the things that 2011 draft EIS did was to predict the area that would be affected if there was a serious spill or if a truck carrying explosives exploded. The pink circle in the center here, this is a half-mile radius that is the area that could be affected if sulfuric acid or ammonium nitrate spilled. And you can see we're talking schools and the city buildings, etc. And I just, for the purpose of illustration, I just assumed that the spill would happen right here. Of course, it could happen anywhere on the route, but this is sort of a worst case scenario. And the yellow circle is the blast radius if a truck carrying explosives went up, according to that 2011 DEIS. So, these probability of this happening is small, but if it did happen, the effects would be substantial. So the town of Sahuarita is hiding the truth from you. They haven't done anything to tell you about the truck traffic. I know most of you out there don't know anything about it. You'd probably never heard about this till you got our flyers. There's no study been done about how this traffic will affect you. Hudbay hasn't released its traffic plan. Basically, they're trying to go under the radar here, where you guys won't know about it until it's a fait accompli and you've got these trucks thundering down through Sahuarita Road to the center of town. Incidentally, the town of Sahuarita refused to rent us a room for this meeting, a town room, because presumably they didn't want us to tell you about this truck problem. And picture says 1,000 words. This is the mayor right here, and some council members and probably Hudbay staff doing a happy photo op wearing Hudbay helmets. So enough said about that. But you could email him and tell him you're concerned about the truck traffic, and in general you're concerned about this mine, because there's going to be a lot of other effects from the mine. And things that you could ask for: ask the council to demand that Hudbay release its traffic plan. Demand an independent traffic study be done by the town or some other independent body of what the congestion, accidents, and fatalities are likely to be, similar to what was done in that 2011 draft EIS. Tell the council they should pass a resolution against the mine, just like Pima County and the city of Tucson did. Pima County is opposed to this mine. They know the health effects. They know the damage it's going to do to the Pima County economy. City of Tucson, same thing. They're opposed to the mine. There's a Sahuarita Town Council meeting coming up April 28th at 6 p.m. and the public can get on the docket when you're there to speak out. There's another one on May 12th. Let the mayor and the council know that you have these concerns and you want them to do something. So Big Mining's game plan here, I'm going to inoculate you against so that you're savvy when you get PR from the mine or from advocates of this mine. First of all, they exaggerate the economic benefits and downplay the economic harm. They downplay the health consequences or don't mention them at all. They take advantage of weak state environmental oversight, and they make economic deals with some sections of the community to turn the citizens against citizens, like they sign contracts with labor unions. And of course, the labor unions see that they're getting jobs out of it, while other citizens are going to be hurt by the mine. So the first claim that is made is that Pima County's economy is in terrible shape. The mine will be a lifesaver. In fact, Pima County is extremely robust. It's gotten through the last 8 recessions better than the average in the U.S. Either the recessions didn't affect it negatively at all, or it bounced right back. We 2 years ago contracted with a top-notch ecological consulting firm called Power Consulting to do this economic report. You can find this report on our website, and we put up a website just for this report down here at the bottom, copperworldeconomics.com. You can also find it from our main website, scenicsanaritas.org, but you can jump right there, see the report. The whole report's about 80 pages, but there's also a very easy to read executive summary, which is, you're looking at the cover of that right now. So, and maybe I'll back up there and just say some of the economics are that the overall effect of this mine on the Pima County economy will be to hurt it. Loss of tourism, loss of outdoor recreation, which are huge drivers for the Pima County economy. And you have to imagine that the loss in tourism, outdoor recreation by this mine is going to be added to the fact that the Patagonias are going to be lost to an Australian mine that's going in there. So we're having, throughout our area, we're having an effect here where these mines are coming in and they're undermining the real economic drivers of this community, which are recreation, and of course people move here for beautiful views, clean air, etc., all of which are put at risk by this and the other mines that are being developed in the area. You'll hear that copper world is essential for the transition to green energy, and we're a bunch of NIMBYs because we don't want it in our backyard, but it's essential for the U.S. becoming energy independent and fighting global warming, and this is simply not true. The U.S. Geological Survey has, under federal law, the responsibility of maintaining and evaluating a list of critical minerals that are essential for U.S. Security and economy, and the U.S. Geological Survey says that they're not listing it. Because the U.S. has adequate supplies and a strong supply chain. Then Senator Sinema and some other senators wrote to the Geological Survey and asking that copper be added as a critical mineral, and the head of USGS wrote back and said, nope, we've got adequate supplies in the predictable future. Also, it's true that many U.S. copper mines have been operating below capacity, and they could increase capacity, which would make perhaps this mine not needed at all. And there are also lots of non-copper alternatives being developed rapidly. Like there's a carbon fiber called Galvorn, which can be used in cell phones and things like that. It's not really it's still in the development phase, but it's extremely promising. Bottom line is, we don't need this bad mine for transition to green energy or to rescue the Pima County economy. The last claim I'm going to discuss right now is that Copper World will make made in the U.S. copper, made in Arizona copper. They trumpet this all the time. This is like blatantly untrue. Hudbay's own plan says that 100% of its copper will be sent to foreign countries for the first 4 years. After that, they plan to refine some copper on site. Who knows whether they really do, but still their plan all the way out for the 20 years lifespan of the plan is that a substantial amount is going to be sent overseas to foreign countries for refining. So and of course the profits are going to go to Canada. So as we said earlier, at least the first 4 years, copper's all going to go overseas, but we're going to be welcome to buy it back from probably China, and the profits will go to Canada. So the economic losses are tourism, recreation, and home values. I wanted to stress this. One of the things that our economists did was look at how mines, when they came in, it affected home values in other communities across the country, and they found that there were substantial drops as a result of mine coming in. And the folks living in Green Valley right now, or Quail Creek, who are going to have their views of the Santa Ritas spoiled, or even more, and we'll come to this in a second, people living in Corona de Tucson who are going to be right next to the mine. Of course, their house values are going to be dropping. Our study predicted that just in Corona de Tucson alone, there could be $100 million drop in property value. Groundwater pumping. There's Hudbay right now has a permit for 2 billion gallons of water a year. That's enough to supply 20,000 households. They're going to be using massive amounts of water in this mine. And there's actually, under state law, there's no limit on how much they can take. Like ag has a limit, housing developments have a limit, but mining was able to get themselves exempted when the water conservation law was put in place, so there's no limit. Their 2022 plan was for 4.6 billion gallons per year, enough for more than 40,000 households. Current plan, they don't say. They changed the plan in 2023. They don't say now. Probably they don't want that number out there. All they'll say is that they've got a permit for 2 billion gallons a year, but they don't say how much they're really going to be using. Health risks. Not only are there potential risks from water contamination, but also the tailings. Tailings are those, what those giant mountains are over there by the Mission and Sarrieta mines. This is a fine dust that's left over after processing, or it's got toxic metals in it. It's got lead, it's got arsenic, it's got cadmium. And those of you who live in Green Valley and Sahuarita know that that dust blows. It blows into the community. And if we take a look here, this is showing up here at the top, in the north of the map, this is Corona de Tucson. This yellow here is private land that Hudbay has bought where they are going to dump their tailing piles. So imagine that you're living in Corona de Tucson and there's a 500-foot pile of toxic dust sitting right here where the prevailing winds at certain times of the year can blow it into the community. The closest house to this tailings pile is only about 600 feet. And right here is the Copper Ridge Elementary School. And of course, kids are particularly susceptible to lead. It's an extreme nervous system toxin. And this elementary school is only 1.5 miles away from the tailings dump. And there's a middle school over here that's only 2.5 miles away. So the state of Arizona, you might think, well, the state can protect you, but the state does not have your back. The Department of Environmental Quality has the mission of protecting your health and the environment. That's their mission statement. But they just bend over backwards for the mine. They've called mines their clients. They are largely funded by permit fees from mines, so they have a conflict of interest. And most recently for the Copper World mine, they understated the air pollution impacts, and as a result of that miscalculation, they gave Hudbay a 2-week air permit that won't be as protective as it should be of your health, and we are currently appealing that permit. The Arizona State Land Department violated state law when it gave Hudbay a right-of-way to pipe mine tailings across the Santa Rita experimental range. It did this without a public meeting as required by state law. We sued them. The judge concluded that they had in fact violated state law when they did that. So, but if we work together, we can stop this mine. It's still possible for citizens together if we band and shout loud enough. Tell our elected officials we want this mine stopped, and together we can succeed. Copper World's PR, you might get discouraged because they say they're ready to go. They say they've got their permits, but that's not so. We're appealing their air permit just to start with, And another important thing to recognize is the company's board of directors has not yet approved construction of the mine. So they're still trying to evaluate, like, how many roadblocks in the way, how much community opposition is there, and does this mine make sense for them from an economic point of view compared to other places where they might invest their time and money. So we still have a chance to say no to this mine. SSSR, Save the Scenic Santa Ritas, and our allies, which are groups like Center for Biological Diversity, and neighborhood groups, are fighting to protect you and our way of life. As I mentioned, we're in court right now challenging the illegal right-of-way that the Arizona State Land Department gave Copper World. We're appealing the improper air quality permit that the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality gave Copper World. And I already hit the last two bullets. That there's still some Canadian regulatory steps that Hudbay would need to go through. One would be to complete a final feasibility study that would cost about $70 million. They have not done that yet. And as I said, the Hudbay board of directors still hasn't approved this mine. Just to show you, here are, over on the left, are some neighbors with the Corona de Tucson Preservation Alliance. We work with them, we support them, and if you have questions about how you can get organized in your community in Sahuarita or be it Green Valley, they'd be happy to help you out. Contact us, contact me or Anna. We'll put you in touch with these folks if you don't know them yourselves. So thank you for sitting through this slideshow. I hope it made you, realize what you're up against and gave you the information that you need to fully understand this this project that's really on your doorstep and is going to be sending trucks right through the center of Sahuarita on a daily basis.